class, and welcome to part 1 of the chapter for the managerial chapter for sample problems, part 1. So as you know, fixed costs are costs that do not change based on how many units you produce. However, sometimes we want to allocate these out from a budgetary standpoint. So for this problem, they're asking us to take the fixed costs below and allocate them out for various levels of sales. So they've asked us to look at this for 50, 100, and 200 units, which I have set up over here. So I've got the amounts for each of these expenses for these fixed costs here and the number of units. And all I'm going to do is just take these costs and divide them out by the number of units. So I'm going to use cell references here. And I'm going to put this as an absolute reference. So $C, $4, or you could just take the number 5,000. And I'm going to divide this by the number that I have up in row 1. So I'm going to lock this on row 1 by putting a $sign before the 1. Otherwise, I could just take 5,000 divided by 50. And oops, I forgot there we go. I didn't need that parentheses, so it was yelling at me here. Oops. C4, oops, this should be C2. I put the wrong row. There we go. And I don't want to lock this on row 2. I just want to lock it on column D here. All right, so $100, I'm going to drag that down. So for each of these, I have the following amounts, and I'm going to total these up to get a total fixed cost per unit for 50 units. So sum of D2 through D5 there, which gets me 175 per unit in terms of fixed costs at this production level. Now remember, this doesn't mean that this actually changes if we increase our units. We're just allocating this out in this situation. All right, so for the next one, we're going to do the same thing. Because I did use formulas here, I'm going to I should be able to just drag these over here. So let's see, I've got C2 divided by E1, that looks correct. And I've got C2 divided by F1. Okay, so take those and I'm going to drag them down. So basically I'm just taking cost divided by number of units for each row. All right, and then I'm going to total those up also. And I'm going to make sure, I'm going to see if this is rounding at all, because I feel like it might be. So I'm going to go to format cells here, and I'm going to put this to 2 decimal places. I'm going to put no $sign just to take up less space. And sure enough, we do have some that are part of a dollar. So always, if you're using Excel, make sure that you put that out to 2 digits for these problems. And I'm going to just copy these right down here. So that gets me a total cost of $87.50 at 100 units. So when I double the number of units, it's half as much fixed cost that gets allocated per unit. And then for the next one, we're doubling this up again. And we see again, when we double the units, it's half as much as it was at the previous level. So at 200 units, 4 times as many units, we take the same cost and divide it out across 4 times as many units. And so the cost is 1/4 the amount for each unit when we assign those costs. Okay, so that was problem number 1. For problem number 2, we've got John Street Barbershop, and they're paying $25 per month for water for the first 8,000 gallons and $3.50 per 1,000 gallons above 8,000 gallons. So remember, we talked about, hopefully you watched the videos, there's variable costs which change and go up at a measurable amount for each additional unit that you produce. And there's also fixed costs, which do not change based on number of units. And sometimes a cost will be what's called a mixed cost, where they will have both a fixed component and a per unit component. So lots of times, like utilities will have a base cost, like, hey, here's the cost per line for your electricity, plus you'll get charged per kilowatt hour for using the electricity. So that would be a mixed cost example. So here we've got a barber shop. They're paying $25 per month for water as a base fee, and then that covers them up to 8,000 gallons of water. Anything over 8,000 gallons of water, they get charged $3.50 per 1,000 gallons of water. So that would be a mixed cost up for this if it goes beyond 8,000 gallons. Okay, so here they're saying, what is the total water cost for these three levels of usage? Well, the first one, 7,000 gallons, falls below that 8,000 gallon limit. So that's going to get covered for the $25 flat fee, right? Now, so we're going to have the base fee here of $25, and then per gallon, we have $3.50 per 1,000, okay? So here in this next situation, we've got 10,000 gallons, and this is per 1,000 gallons over 8,000. So we're going to take 10,000 minus 8,000. And so that gets us the amount over 8,000. And then we're going to divide that by 1,000 to figure out how many thousands are we being charged for fees. Okay. So that means that we are going to get charged in terms of fees for, looks like, let me make sure again that I don't have rounding here. Looks like we're getting charged, yeah, so 10,000 minus 8,000, obviously 2,000 gallons. So we're getting charged two fees. So it's going to be this amount here, the two additional 1,000 gallons we're being charged for. And we're going to multiply that times the $3.50 per 1,000 extra gallons. So that means that 350 times 2 gets us $7 additional. So 25 plus 7 gets us $32 at the 10,000 gallon level. And then we're going to do the same thing here for 13,000. So I'm just going to change this. So 13,000 minus 8,000 is 5,000 gallons. So it's going to be 5 times 350, okay? Which is 1,750. So 4,250. I'm just going to double check. 5 times 350 is indeed 1,750. Okay, so that gets us to 4,250 here, okay? All right, and then for problem number 3 here, we've got trustee car inspection, and they are reviewing their monthly operating costs. Their costs range from $4,300 for 1,300 inspections to $3,900 for 900 inspections. So they have a range in costs here. Now, we're going to be using what is called the high-low method here in order to calculate the cost per inspection here, all right? So the formula for that is you take the change in total cost divided by the change in volume of activity, okay? So we say, all right, if we have a range here, right? I'm going to just put the range here, high and low and change in cost here. So the range in cost and the change in volume between those two levels, right? So we're going to take the difference in cost between our highest and our lowest value, and we're going to divide it by the difference in volume or number of inspections at our highest and lowest volume. If this is sounding confusing, please go watch the high-low video that is posted out in Pearson. So our high level was $4,300 for 1,300 inspections, and our low level was $3,900 for 900 inspections. So that means that we have a change in cost between our lowest and our highest level of production here of $400. And we have a change in volume here also of 400 inspections. So plugging these in here over here, 400 divided by 400 gives us a cost of $1, a variable cost of $1 per inspection. So we can solve for how much does our cost go up for each additional inspection we have, and that is the variable cost per inspection. Now, here we need to figure out what our fixed costs are. Well, how do we figure that out? Well, what we need to do is take the total mix cost, so which includes the fixed and variable portion combined, minus the total variable costs at one particular level of production, all right? So our total mixed cost at our highest level of production was $4,300. Now, if we take the cost of $400, $1 per inspection here at that, we had 1,300 inspections here, okay? And at $1 per inspection, that means that we would have variable costs of $1,300, right? So units of the number of units at $4,300 in cost was 1,300. We just calculated that the variable cost was $1 each. So 13 times 1 is 1,300. So if we take this total cost of 4,300, subtract out the variable portion, then that means that the fixed portion of that mixed cost is what was left, which is $3,000. All right, and then the last question they're asking is write the equation and calculate the operating costs for 1,000 inspections. Okay, so what you're going to do then to figure out the variable portion of the cost, you're going to take the variable cost per inspection times the number of inspections. So $1 per inspection times 1,000 inspections. So that gets us $1,000. And then we're going to add to that the fixed cost, the total fixed cost, which we just calculated at 3,000. So that means for 1,000 inspections, it would cost us 1,000 plus 3,000, which is a mixed cost of $4,000. All right, and then they ask us to make a graph here. So we can plot this graph level. We've got 3 price points here. So we've got high, we've got low, and we've got change. So I'm going to click this so we can enlarge this. And so at $4,300 right here, we did 1,300 inspections. So I'm going to look for my 1,300 spot there, and I'm going to plot a point. There's the point tool, so 1,300 and 4,300. And if you look to the upper right there, you'll see that it's telling me exactly what point we're at. So I've got that one. And then I'm going to do another one at 900 here and 3,900. Oops, wrong spot, edit. 900 is what I wanted. There we go. To match up over here, 3,900 and 900. And then the last one we had was 1,000 units and 3,000. So I'm sorry, 1,000 and 4,000. So I'm going to do another one here at 1,000. And I'm going to wait to click until I'm in the right spot this time. There we go, 1,000 inspections, $4,000. And then we're going to go ahead and click here to plot a line from here through there. So it's crossing all 3 points there. And there we've got our plotted line. All right. Go ahead and check that, and we are good. All right, so that is part 1 of the chapter M4 sample problems. Please make sure you also watch part 2.